Hey guys, and we're back. Seth here with the fourth part for my rerun series. Um, we're gonna finish up the 0th chapter here in Arknights, which is gonna be a relief. And start having more challenging maps, which I'm very excited for. So starting off here in 0-8, not a huge challenge again. I know in the next map there are actually more enemies that spawn initially, which really starts pressuring my Vanguard and Guard combo of Myrtle and Indra, but right now Indra's got it. So one of the things that I do in this map is use Schwartz. Schwartz is a really recent addition to the 6-star pool, and she is awesome. She's a close range sniper, but I feel most of the time at most maps you can use her normal attack area really effectively. She can hit a lot of enemies. It's not too harrowing to find a place to deploy her, but when you finally E2 her and get her third skill is when she really shines. She has a talent that lets her do armor piercing attacks, and sometimes it's RNG based, except for with her third ability it changes the shape of her attack. Instead of attacking in a grid around her like normal units, she attacks in a straight line just like Ifrit, and so it gives her extended range. She can hit units further than she normally can, which is a boon in a lot of maps. But the third skill also changes it so her talent is always activated, so she always armor pierces, which is really good at later stages when enemies have higher armor. And you'll definitely see a lot more of Schwartz. She's definitely hands down my favorite unit in the game right now, which is the reason why she's level 90 and none of the other units are. She is a fantastic unit. This map here, I realized that it's a lot more early pressure than I was prepared for deploying Myrtle there. So I deploy Indra in the square right next to Myrtle, facing downward. This gives Indra like a second more to attack the units below, which means that, especially for these super easy units, she'll be able to take care of the unit below and then the unit above and block it, which will give her some time. But this stage, a lot of the earlier stages are super easy to clear with Exusai. She has just one of the best DPSs in the game, especially for the low cost she takes to deploy. She doesn't do that great against armor at all in any of the stages, and even here you'll see that she kind of struggles with some of the mildly armored enemies, but she just melts everything that doesn't have a lot of armor. And with her skills, she really can burst them down, most of the medium armored units, so she's a really solid, well-rounded unit all around. I think it's E2 she gets an ability which I've been calling Exu's Grace, basically. She gives a buff to another unit that is deployed after her or before her. Generally it's really good if you deploy a unit like Siege first and then don't have any other units and then you deploy Exu, because Exu will always give Siege, the only other unit on the battlefield, her Grace, and it increases their stats by like 8% attack and 8% attack speed or something like that, so it's a nice little buff. And one of the cool things I found about that skill too is if you deploy Exu and there's no other units, the next unit that you deploy actually gets that ability. So it really allows you to control which unit gets it, which is really nice. and I use it a couple times for some videos I'll make later, making the biggest damage numbers I can. It's a lot of fun to do. Yeah, so a lot of these early maps are... Arknights does a really good job easing people into the idea of tower defense games. A lot of these earlier maps have really obvious choke points, kind of like where I'm deploying Myrtle around, and you can't really mess up deployment too badly on maps like this. But later, and I think you'll see in 0-11, I think it is, there's area that you can make your own choke point, which is the start of being creative in Arknights, and especially when you get into later stages and really hard maps like the contingency contract maps that are coming up. It's really important to be creative with how you deploy units and use the unit's range. And one of the things I think is most important in games like this is units range, because the longer range a unit has, the more damage they can do generally, because they can hit units from further away, which gives them more time to deal damage to enemies. So melee units are generally a lot weaker because they only have a tile or no tiles extra to be able to hit enemies, whereas ranged enemies can hit enemies from even more than 5 tiles away, which is crazy. So ranged guards like Silver Ash are super awesome for stacking up ground melee units, because then you can have more than one unit hitting the same square space, which is important for later maps when there are lots of enemies that need to be dead. Oh man, and I think the map design for Arknights is just been amazing. Like, on top of the just gorgeous visuals, the increase in complexity for all of the tower defense maps are just phenomenally created. So here is 0-11, the final map I'll be running in the first chapter, which is the 0th chapter. And here I'll deploy Indra just above Myrtle to start the unit trap I was talking about. And as you can see, when bad enemies spawn, they will have that red line run through the tiles to your blue cube, telling you how they're getting to your base. So it can be important, especially if you haven't done a stage before, practicing the stage so you can figure out the pathing for the enemy units, so you know where you want to deploy yours. And again, a lot of this will make a lot more sense and be actually more useful in later maps. So I deployed Ifrit here at the lowest tile instead of the one right above her, because Ifrit still has the range to be able to hit that topmost lane, and I could deploy another unit above Ifrit like Exu or Ea Fiala to kill, to cover that tile that's just in front of Myrtle even more. Yes, definitely not going to talk about that leak. Didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about. So as you see here too, I put Chen facing the other way because this map is really super easy, and Chen should have a couple more seconds to be able to kill those slugs and enemies that are approaching from the left side, because the box under Chen, where Chen isn't aiming, Ifrit just totally has it covered. Also, you kind of see me being really lax with healers. I only have one healer, and then Saria. Saria is a healer defender, which is really, really super useful kind of unit. But yeah, I haven't been too concerned about healing, especially at the earlier stages, but even at later stages, a lot of the time between Zarya and Telopsis, you don't have to worry a whole lot. Well, I will see you guys again in Chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed the very, very boring Chapter 0, and I'll probably be speeding up the next chapter a bit, because these videos were kind of long.